different. Because you know what? I am used to talking to other female artists who perhaps don't have that same eye.
You know what? And I don't knock it, because my mother did it.
Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Oh, she's touching him off the neck! Look! You see?
Why do people not want to let the Jay-Z Blu Cantrell thing go?
Blu Cantrell allegedly having a secret love child with Jay-Z. And now, the streets are saying that Beyoncé allegedly made sure the world never found out. Word on the streets is that back when Blu and Jay were entangled in the early 2000s, things got way deeper than anybody thought. Not only was their relationship more than just a fling, but there are now claims that Blu actually gave birth to Jay's child, and Beyoncé allegedly pulled the strings to keep it hidden. But here's the wildest part. Insiders are saying this child is still being kept out of the spotlight to this day, and not by accident. Beyoncé allegedly made it clear that if Blu ever came forward, the consequences would be brutal. So now the question is, was this just the rumor that got out of control, or was Blu actually silenced? For real? For real? And what does Jay-Z own about his past behavior? And what does that tell us about the possibility that this might be true? Because when you connect them dots, things start looking real suspicious. So, let's break it down. Y'all was cheating. She was beaming in a Beamer just
Radio that I didn't think it would last though.
What, me and him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're about 25.
Why, he needs somebody younger than that?
At the end of the day, yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
You good at,
Do you know what I mean?
good at making me say things.
beaming. Can't believe that you got a man cheating. Because one thing about Miss Beyoncé, she doesn't play when it comes to Jay-Z. And if there's one person who learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I just thought that you were too.
I mean, I think that they're great for each other, so I don't knock it. I can't hate.
It was Blu Catch. Well, way back when Jay and B were just starting to pop out as a couple, there were some quiet rumors floating around that Blu and Jay had a little something going on behind the scenes, and most people just brushed it off at the time, just thinking it was the usual celebrity gossip. But now things are starting to look way more serious than anybody expected. According to some new reports, Blu didn't just have a fling with Jay-Z, she allegedly got Prago. And when Beyoncé found out, baby, let's just say things allegedly got handled fast. The story goes that Blu was pressured to keep everything quiet, and that the baby was kept completely out of the spotlight to avoid any scandal that could blow up J and B's image. But it actually gets even messier because, according to these reports, Blu didn't just get pregnant. She allegedly kept the baby, which means that Jay-Z might have been having more secret kids than we even thought. But here's where things start to sound like a plot twist straight out of Us So Old opera. The streets are saying that once Beyoncé found out, everything changed for Blu. Allegedly, her career didn't just fade, it was shut down on purpose. Allegedly, Beyoncé wanted to make sure that Blu paid the price for messing with her men. And from that moment on, Blu's entire music momentum just disappeared. Think about it. 1 minute she had a hit song and made major buzzing, and the next thing we know, she was gone. And now people are looking back at that sudden fall off into a whole new light, wondering if this so-called love baby was a real reason Blu's name vanished from the industry. And as wild as this sounds, some fans kind of clocked the tea about this messy love triangle a while ago. But in the mid-90s, Blu Cantrell and Jay-Z had a pretty tight connection, tight enough that people started wondering if there was more going on than just music. And at the time, Blu was still on the come of doing background vocals for big names like Diddy. And that's how she ended up meeting Jay-Z. From there, the chemistry between them just had folks talking. Now, here's where it gets messy. Because while Jay was getting close to Blu, he was also actively chasing Beyoncé, and it was not a secret. So, why was he still spending time with Blu like that? But, as you probably remember, Jay had already taken a major emotional hit after things didn't work out with Aaliyah. So, when Beyoncé came into the picture, he wasn't exactly trying to put all his eggs in one basket. And that's where Blu came in. People close to the situation say that Jay was keeping Blu on close on purpose and almost like a backup plan, because just in case Beyoncé wasn't fitting him in the way he had hoped. And considering how tight Blu and Jay were at the time, it was not hard to see why folks found the situation weird. But what really had people talking was how long Jay kept the double game going, even when things started heating up with Beyoncé. But Blu kept insisting that there was nothing going on. But nobody was really buying it, especially not with Beyoncé in the picture. From outside, it looked like Blu was doing everything she could to sidestep the mess. She didn't want to be labeled the third wheel. And considering how tight Jay and Blu seemed, the Jana house only added fuel to the fire. But things really started to spiral after her interview with Wendy Williams. Because if you know Miss Wendy Williams, then you already know this was Wendy in her prime. And it was usual, because she would go straight for the juggler and asked Blu what everybody else was too scared to say out loud, asking her if there was something going on between her and Jay-Z. And the way that Blu answered didn't exactly shut things down. In fact, it did the opposite. Because while she denied the rumors on camera, her
Play with somebody did. From that time we heard it.
Right. Which
This whole thing's crazy. This whole
that
thing.
is
I mean, it could be a coincidence, may not be, who knows? But
Yeah, that's why I
people
said
were
we
saying that she's a big part of the problem for him, and some of the things that she was doing, a woman would not, she would have some sort of role in
Right.
what her husband does. And
Right.
if she was secure with herself and with the situation, not saying you gotta like it,
right.
she would have her husband handle it.
Right.
Because this is a black community. This is a black man.
Yeah.
Ramir's black.
energy says something entirely different.
Now,
Blu Cantrell
Blu
allegedly
definitely
could have
having
handled
a secret
that
love
100
child
different
with
ways
Jay-Z.
better. And now,
Because she could have
the
just
streets
shut
are
it
saying
down
that Beyoncé
clean.
allegedly
have
made
flipped it
sure
on.
the world never
Wendy
found
she
out.
could have even taken
word on
that
the streets
high
is
road
that
and moved on.
back when Blu and
But
Jay were
laughing it,
entangled in
often dodging
the early
question
2000s,
was
things got
probably
way
the
deeper
worst thing that she
than
could
anybody thought
have done.
Not only
But
was
instead
there
of putting the
relationship more
rumors
than
to
just a
bed,
fling,
she made them
but
louder.
There are now
But
claims that
the
Blu
wildest
actually
part wasn't the
gave
denial.
birth to Jay's child,
It
and Beyonce
was what came next.
allegedly pulled
Wendy
the strings
being Wendy
to keep
at
it. The
hidden.
time didn't stop
But
at
here's
the
the
love
wildest part.
triangle.
Insiders
She
are
threw
saying
out a
this
theory
child
that
is still
had already
being
been
kept
flowing
out of the
around
spotlight
for
to this
years that
day
maybe
and
Jay-Z
not by
picked
accident.
Beyonce
Because she was younger,
allegedly made
and
it
instead
clear
of
that if Blu
brushing it
ever
off her
came
side,
forward,
stepping
the
like
consequences
most guests
would be
do.
brutal.
Blu leaned
So now
all
the question
the
is,
way in.
was this
She didn't
just
just
the rumor
agree
that got out
she
of
took
control,
it even further,
or was Blu
saying
actually
age
silenced?
had
Nothing
for
to do
real.
with it.
For real.
According to
And
her,
what does Jay-Z
Jay was never looking
own
for
about his
someone
past
as his
behavior
equal.
and what
He wanted
does
someone
that tell
naive,
us about the
someone
possibility
easier
that
to
this
mold,
might be true?
and in her words,
Because when
that's
you connect
exactly
them
what
dots,
he saw in
things
Beyonce.
start
But
looking
it got
real
even messier
suspicious.
because during
an
interview
break
with The Guardian,
it down.
Blu got
Yul was
asked
cheating.
directly
She
about
was.
Beyonce beaming in a
And
beamer just
instead
beaming.
of shutting
Can't
things down,
believe
Blu
that you got a
gave
man
an answer
cheating
that made everything
because one thing about
worse.
Miss Beyonce,
She said
she
"I'm an
doesn't
adult.
play when it comes to
She's
Jay-Z.
younger.
And if there's one person
And if she's
who
doing
learned
what you're
that the hard
saying,
way,
then
it was
she's
Blu
being a
Cat.
little
Immature.
way back when
Maybe
J and
she
B were
just doing it
for
starting to
press.
pop out as
But
a couple.
she needs to understand
There
if
were some
she
quiet
goes there with
rumors
me,
floating
it's
around
the wrong
that
move.
Blu and Jay had
She
a
needs
little
to know
something,
that what she's
something going on
doing
behind
and
the
what
scenes
she's getting into,
and most people
she
just brushed it
also
off. Also tried to pull Jay
the
into
time
it,
just
thinking
saying,
it was the usual.
if she is being
celebrity
negative,
gossip,
she doesn't.
But now
need to
things
be
are
because she's a
starting
beautiful
to look way
girl.
more serious than.
But if you got
anybody
issues with your
expected, man,
according
take
to
it
some
up with
new
him.
reports,
Don't come for.
Blu didn't
the
just have a
woman.
fling.
That's
with
never the
Jay-Z.
right way to.
She allegedly got
handle
Prago.
it.
And that's when it became
when Beyonce found
clear
out
that whatever
baby,
tension
let's
was
just
brewing
say
between
things
BU
allegedly
and
got
Beyonce
handled
wasn't
fast.
just some
The story
industry
goes that
cattiness.
Blu was pressured.
There was something
to keep everything
deeper
quiet
going on
and
behind
that
the scenes.
Baby was
Now,
kept completely
at the
out
time,
of the
nobody knew
spotlight
exactly
to
what
avoid
it
any scandal
was.
that.
But
could
now that
blow
the
up
streets
J and
were
BS image,
saying that
but
Beyonce
it
allegedly
actually
made
gets
Jay-Z
even messier
deny a
because,
secret child
according
with
to
Blu
these
and
reports,
then
Blu
turned
didn't
around and even
just
ended
get
Blu's
pregnant.
entire
She
career.
She needs to stop, make this case go away. The Beyonce thing came when a friend of mine who knew her, somebody in her camp,
Okay.
and she said something supposedly, this is all hearsay,
Okay.
about regarding saying Ramir needs to go away, go away, little boy, something to that effect. There was something out there
Right.
with the song they made. And then next thing I know, somebody was at my property.